Hello YouTube, Redneck Reloader here, back for another video. It's been a while, so good to see you all. Feel like I missed you. This is kind of a dual video. It is dealing with reloading, but it's also just dealing with a particular gun and some of the problems with it. And the gun I'm talking about today is this. This is a Remington RP45. This is a 45 ACP. They also made this. They made an RP9, which is basically the same gun. It uses the same frame and it's the same physical size. Just the barrel slide, springs are different. I love this gun. This came out a few years ago. Remington was really targeting, going after like the Glocks and some of the other polymer striker fired guns. It's a nice gun. It will hold 15 rounds in a magazine. Now I usually load 14 because that 15th round is a thumb buster to get in there, but you can do it. And I figure 14 plus 1, if I can't get the job done with 15 rounds of 45 ACP, I'm probably into something I shouldn't be into. It's got a rail. I've got a light that I mount on here sometimes. I love carrying this gun around in the mountains. Good for, bear protection. And it's very accurate. It's got a nice trigger to it. And this gun is empty. I'm going to tear it down here in a minute. But just to show you, nothing in the chamber, nothing on the bolt face, and there's no feed source. But it's got a nice trigger to it. I shoot this gun very accurately. The problem with this gun is reliability. And this was kind of a flop for Remington. Now, I bought it, and I liked it, but I had a lot of problems with it. And got to where I could barely get through one magazine without a failure. And just the way I am, I can't see passing my problems on to somebody else. So I wasn't going to try to sell this to somebody else who didn't know better and to lie about the reliability or anything of it. That's just not my style of doing things. So I decided, well, I've got it. I'll keep it. I'll mess around with it. Maybe it'll get broken in. Maybe it'll work better. And the break-in helped a little bit, but really, it was finding the right ammunition for it. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is here in the last few weeks, I've had several conversations with people online about this particular gun and the reliability issues with it. And a lot of people have had problems with these. And I don't anymore. I have fixed mine. I haven't had a single jam out of mine in, over a year. I really couldn't tell you the last time. So I thought I would share my experiences with everybody else and maybe help someone else who's been struggling. Maybe you got this gun and you like it too, but have just been struggling with it. Now it's a little bit dirty. I haven't cleaned it good since the last time I shot it. So I'm going to be dropping some stuff down the barrel here, but hopefully this dirt won't mess us up. And as far as the reloading part, the reason I'm making this is the way I make this gun reliable is I reload specifically for this gun. And that's what you need to do with your guns in order to make sure that your loads that you're loading are going to work in your gun. So if you're a reloader, I'm hoping this gun will kind of help you to learn how to load for your particular gun. If you don't reload and you're just interested in this RP45, I'm going to give you some tips of ways you can make it run better, and specifically with ammo. So let's get on with it. So 45, when you think of 45 ACP, you think of a 230 grain ball ammo, and traditionally that's what is shot in it. That's what that is. That's what that is. That's what that is. Those are 230 grain ball, and this is an aluminum case. I've shot a lot of these, and they're not horrible. These will feed somewhat decent in the gun. The way you check to see how your ammo is going to run in your gun is to do what's called a plunk test. So you should drop it. It should plunk easily into the barrel, and it should set down flush, and it should spin. You should be able to spin it and move it freely in the barrel. And like I said, these aluminums aren't too bad. If you look, I can actually wiggle it back and forth a little bit. You can spin it. I can feel a little bit of resistance, but not much. Now, usually these were not too bad about running in my gun. I'd have a hiccup every now and again, but for the most part, these would run okay. But when I started trying to run regular brass ball, and this is one I've loaded, so if you look, it's a little bit shorter. This is actually a dummy round that I use. When I drop that in for the plunk test, it does plunk in there okay, and it does turn, but there's a lot of resistance there. And you can see how short that I had to load that. That's what I have to do in order to get 230 grain ball to run in this gun. I have to make them really short. And even when I do that, I still have problems. So I bought some of these from Acme. I believe these are Acme's. I've got some from Acme. Actually, these might be from Bayou Bullets, I think. But these I really have a hard time with. If you notice, I really don't set down in there like they should. That's not flush right there. And that is actually stuck right there. I'm having a hard time getting that in there. If I just give that a little love tap and turn it out, it gets stuck and you cannot turn it. This is what gave me fits when I started running this gun, is they would get up in there and they wouldn't quite seat. And what would happen is, while it was in the gun, if you looked at the top of it there, if I can get it to focus on for me, there, it would look like this. It would just be down just a hair, like it just wasn't quite going all the way in the battery. It was like a 1/16 of an inch of going all the way up. And I would have to smack the back of the slide to get that to go in. Every once in a while, I would get one really jammed in there where I couldn't slack the slide hard enough to get it to go all the way in. And then when I had to try to take it out, it would be so jammed in the barrel, it would give me fits trying to get it out of there. So that just wasn't working for me. Okay. So the 230 grain ball, I quit trying to load that for this gun. I just decided this gun just doesn't like it. It's not going to run. I'm going to have to do something else. One type of bullet I found worked really well in the gun, and that was Federal Syntech. Now, this is the Federal Syntech Defense. This is a hollow point, and Walmart sold these when they were still selling ammo, and the price was real good on these too. I don't remember what they were, but they were a lot cheaper than your other hollow points. And this is what they look like. This is a jacketed, well, I guess it's a synthetic jacketed hollow point, is what they call it, a SJHP. But it's a hollow point bullet with a synthetic coating. The way this is made is, you know, the base, the round part of the bullet's down here. And then this is actually serrated into 3 sections underneath that coating. And the way this bullet's designed is when it enters a body cavity, it mushrooms, but actually when it mushrooms, these 3 petals break off and stay in the tissue, and then just the base continues on. So basically the bullet breaks into 4 pieces, and that's the way it's designed. And this is what I started carrying for my self-defense rounds. And like I said, they're made by Federal. They're called the Syntech. And this is a self-defense. And these feed really good in this gun. They drop right in easily. They come out easily. And this one's going to stick because my barrel's dirty. But trust me, they come right out. And they spin in there freely. I've never had one of these fail to run. And so this is what I started carrying for self-defense with this gun. And never looked back. I love these things. So this is what I carry. You can see in my magazine. That's what's loaded in there. That one's got a piece of fuzz in there, but that's what it is. So what are you going to use for practice rounds? Well, they also make a Syntech practice round. Now, I don't have any for 45 because the ones I had I've shot up, but I do have some here for 40 cal, so I'll show those to you. So this is the Syntech training. So this is training match. These are for the 40 cal. These happen to be purple. I'm thinking, I can't remember what color the 45s were. I haven't shot these in a couple of years, but this is what they look like. So this is for 40 cal. They're the same thing, and the idea is you can shoot these and they're about the same weight and shape and everything as the hollow points. And I also carry these hollow points in my 40 cal pistol. So these work really good in the 45. So this is what I did. I bought the Syntech training for practice shooting, and I bought the Syntech self-defense, and they worked really good in my Remington RP45. But now flash forward and I start reloading, and I don't want to be doing that. I want to reload my own ammo. So I start looking at how can I copy the Syntech defense rounds. And what I came up with is the polymer coated, the high-tech coated bullets. And these particular ones are for 40 cal. It's a couple different manufacturers. One's a one's a Blue Bullets and one's a Hoosier. But this is just showing you the 40 cal. I can get these these high-tech coated bullets, and they're very similar to the Syntech. They're a little bit more, the ogive's a little bit more pointed on them, but they're very similar. And I don't have problems with my 40 cal. I'm just showing you these as comparison, that you can reload something similar to this. Now for 45, what I started reloading is a 225 grain flat-nosed truncated cone bullet, which I know this is a 40 cal, but you can see they're very, very similar. So this is really, really close to what the 45 is. And so when I started reloading, I said, well, I knew that those Syntech bullets ran good in my gun, and I wanted to kind of simulate those. So that's what I did with the 45, is I started buying these 225 grain truncated cone bullets. And I do load them just a hair shorter than the Syntechs, just to make sure I don't have any problem. And they work really well for me. This bullet runs 100% in my gun and works just great. Drops right in, spins freely, they feed nicely. I don't have any problems. I gave up on using 230 grain bullets, and the 225 grain, I got them. This one is a Bayou bullet. This one's from Acme. They're identical. These are just some, actually that's a live one. And this one is a dummy round that I use for loading, just to get my length right. But both of these work good. I buy these a lot, and they're a lot of fun to shoot, and they cycle right through my gun, and they're very, very close to the Syntech defense rounds. So that's what I use for my RP45. Now, there's also some problems with sometimes getting bullets, getting exactly what you want. I had a lot of problems earlier this year getting these 225s from Acme and from Bayou. 2020 was not a good year, as I'm sure some of you know, for reloading and for getting ammo. So I didn't have a whole lot of them in stock here, and I couldn't really get any more for a while because they were all back ordered and jammed up. So I tried something different, and I found some other bullets. I got some in here. These are from Outlaw Bullets down in Florida. They are a 200 grain instead of 225. Round nose flat point is what they call them. And this is actually a bullet that is really designed for like the 45 Colt. But I read a lot of people said that they would load these and use them for 45 ACP. And this is what it looks like. You know, it's a lead bullet, lube groove. They're made for, low velocities, but Most of the 45s are low velocity rounds anyway. I don't push mine too hard. And I found they were just soft enough that they would run good without letting up my barrel or anything. So I bought a few hundred of those and just said, I'm going to try them. And these run beautifully in my gun. I've never, ever had one of these fail to feed. I load them short. They are a short little round. But they just feed nicely. That ogive is set up for such that I don't have any feeding problems in my gun. And like I said, I've shot hundreds of these, and they run fantastic in my gun. They drop in, they plunk easily, they spin easily. And if you look at that brass, that wiggle, it's actually got plenty of wiggle room in there, spins really easy. They feed 100% of the time. So these feed just as well as those 225s do. So I shot these. I don't usually like just shooting the lead bullets. I don't have a whole lot of leading in the gun, but I have had to clean the lead out a couple times. Not so much from these, but from harder. You think if you get a harder lead bullet, you do better, but actually you want a softer one that's going to expand better into the lanes and grooves. So those outlaw bullets, I bought those, and those were working great. But then I got to where I couldn't get those anymore. They were back ordered, and they weren't taking any orders for them. And so I found that Bayou Bullets offers that same profile, the 200 grain flat nosed with a the high tech coating on it. So I ordered 500 of those, and they're back ordered. I'm still waiting on them. So I've got some of the 225 grains now, and I've got some of the 200 grain Outlaws. I've got the 200 grain high tech coating on their way, but I'm just waiting for those to get here, and I'm going to try those out. And I might even get away from the 225s. I don't know. They both work really good. But that's the key, is when you load, you have to load to your gun. You can have two different guns, and one ammo will run fine in one and won't run in the other. And this is why you got to check it, is check this chamber. And if you've got a tight chamber, you may have to load specific for your gun. And the RP45, if you can get the right ammo in it, it runs and runs and runs. Like I said, I make my own ammo, but if you don't have that option, if you don't reload and you've got RP45, try some of the Syntech bullets from Federal, both the target and the self-defense. And I think you'll be pleased with the performance of those. So that's all I got today. Hope this helps you. If you got an RP45, man, that can be great guns. Let me know how leave me a comment. I'd be curious how yours performs. I've never tried the RP9, but I'm guessing it's probably pretty similar. It's basically the same gun. I just don't own one. But yeah, I'd like to know your mileage, or if you found any particular ammo that works particularly well, or any that really doesn't work at all. Leave some comments down there. A lot of people read them. Might help somebody out. So thank you all. God bless you. Stay safe out there. Redneck Reloader out. Okay, folks. Back again. I actually finished that video. This video, I should say. And then it dawned on me. I started doing some loading, and I reloaded 50 rounds of 45. And I went to put my crimp on, and it dawned on me I kind of forgot to tell you all the most important part of loading your bullets to fit your gun. So I said, I'm going to make this little addendum and just shoehorn it into the original video. So if it seems a little out of place, that's just my poor editing skills. But yeah, you gotta, when you're doing your crimping, you want to crimp that fits your gun. So I have a little reloading block out here that I keep, made by Lyman, all the different calibers. And it's got, 45 ACP, so you can check and see how everything fits. Now, I don't use this for 45. I use this for 9mm and for 40 cal, but I don't use it for 45 because it's not as tight as my barrel. And if I can make rounds that will fit in that, but it won't fit in my barrel. So when I'm setting up my crimp, I'm setting it up for my barrel. Right. So this is my barrel. This is one of the rounds I just loaded. This has not been crimped. Okay, so I've expanded the case mouth, seated the bullet, and I just want to show you, dropping it in there, it's not bad. It's coming up a little shy. You can see it's not seated flush here, right here. And it's not wanting to twist. It's kind of stuck in there, but it's not way off. That's because I don't build my case mount a whole lot with these. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through the crimp die. I've done my first one, so I've got it set already, but I just want to show you what I normally do is I'll just take one of my rounds and run it through. And then I'm going to take my barrel and I'm going to do the plunk test on it. And you can see it dropped down there nice and flush. Actually just a little bit below. It spins easily, and it will actually kind of wiggle back and forth just a little bit, and it drops out easily. That's what I'm looking for. So when I set my die, I'm going to turn it just a tweak more just to make sure. This was the first one I did. It's the same way. Goes in there nicely, a little wiggle, comes out nice. So now I'm going to try a third one. Make sure. Yep, plunked right in. I'm at a weird angle, I can't see good. I hope it's in focus. Spins real easy, drops right out. So I've got it set good. Now I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to knock out the rest of these rounds. I'm going to close this video out. We'll talk to you later. Bye.